Arrr! 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 Arrr!
Arrr!
Arrr!
Arrr!
Arrr!
Yeah, it's good. You're still cute.
Hello everybody! It is International Talk Like a Pirate Day, and while I can't talk like a pirate, I do have 5 pirate romance recommendations for you guys. I really wish I could talk like a pirate. I actually looked up YouTube videos for it, and I could copy every word that the person was saying, but I couldn't actually just talk like a pirate. And there are really not a lot of pirate talk tutorials out there. There's a ton of videos being like, oh, if you want to be a pirate, you gotta say stuff like "Arr" and "Shiver me timbers," but nobody really teaches you how to talk with a piratey accent. I really wanted to try and watch all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but they're all on Disney Plus, and I don't have Disney Plus, so here we are, and here's me not talking like a pirate. So I've been reading a lot of pirate romance books. There were a lot of misses, a lot of books that I DNF'd, a lot of books that I read the synopsis for and just wasn't interested in. So this was actually a really difficult list to create. But that being said, after reading all these really good pirate romance books, now I'm kind of addicted and I really want to find more. So maybe next year on Talk Like a Pirate Day, I'll have an even bigger list, because the ones that I found are just really good. And I think 1 or 2 of them is actually in my my top 20 books of all time list now. So the first book on the list is actually a alien romance, pirate romance book. And it is one that I've read before, but I reread it for this to see if it was up to par or if it was good enough for me to want to include in this. I've read quite a few alien romance books that have pirates in them, like space pirates, but they all they didn't have the piratey feel that I was going for when I was trying to make this list. This one, however, does. It has a very piratey feel to it, and on top of it, they sing pirate shanties halfway through the book, and I just thought it was really cute, and so it just kind of added to that theme of pirates. But anyways, that book is The Pirate Prince, which is number 5 in Lords of the Var by Michelle M. Pello. I have talked about Michelle M. Pello on this channel before, and she has this giant universe called the Kurlixen World books. And it has the Space Lords series, it has the Lords of the Var series, and it has the Dragon Lords series. And there might be more than that, but those are the only 3 that I've delved into. Lords of the Var, they are cat shifters. A little bit of background about the universe in general. They live on this planet where this blue radiation from their sun prevents females from being born. Having female children is very rare on their planet. It's a risk for somebody to pair with one person, especially with nobles, because they want to have a lot of children. They have multiple partners and they don't have a life partner. But this prince, I think his name is Jarek. This prince, he's technically considered a pirate, and where it follows this princess in just barely after the process of being betrothed, these pirates come. They are looking for people, and they end up kind of misinterpreting who she is because of this language barrier. They don't know that she's the princess, but she gets taken onto their ship. They don't know who she is. They think that she was clinging to them for help, when in reality she was trying to fight them off. And she is very reluctant to tell them who she is, obviously, because if they find out that she's a princess, she doesn't know if they will ransom her or something like that. So she ends up being a captive on their ship and kind of lying and saying that she worked with nobles, but that she isn't noble herself. And to get information about these 2 missing crew members, Jarek, our cat shifter prince, he can kind of tell that she has a crush on him very early on. And so he tries to use that connection to get information out of her, and the entire crew kind of agrees that they're going to use him to seduce her so that he can get information about their 2 missing crew members. And on her side of things, she decides she wants to seduce him in order to basically have one last hurrah before she is tied down in marriage. So it turns into almost a How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, where they're both trying to get the other to like them. but then that becomes like more. It's just fun, like everything else that Michelle Ampello writes is just really fun, and I enjoyed it. But we're gonna move on to the actual pirate stuff now. The next book that I have on the list is Captive of the Pirate King, which is number 2 in the Dark Ruler series by Rebecca F. Kenney. I have mentioned Rebecca F. Kenney on here before, and I actually read this book not knowing that she had written one of the books that I just recently mentioned. I didn't know it was the same person until like I was halfway through the book and I saw the name of the author, and I was like, huh, wow, I guess I like this author. I guess in this world, magic users are kind of, you know, a lot of them keep it to themselves because people are very suspicious of people that can use magic. And it follows this girl. If you know me, I don't remember names, so it follows this girl, okay? She's a girl, she's on a ship, she is looking for her brother who is somewhere out in the world. She doesn't know where he is, but she is looking for him. And she's on this ship that gets attacked by pirates. Knowing that women on ships usually are dumped overboard or treated very poorly, she decides that her best chance is to chop off all of her hair and dress up as a boy so that these pirates don't kill her or do worse things to her. So in the heat of the moment, she chops off all of her hair and she binds her breasts and she dresses up in boys' clothes. And she is taken captive on this pirate ship. And one of the crew members, the one that kind of wrestles her onto the pirate ship, kind of cops a feel, like obviously not on purpose because he doesn't know that she's a girl, but he kind of figures out early on that she is not a boy. And for a good portion of the book, he knows that she is a girl and kind of like toys with her, and it's kind of cute. There's a lot that I could give away in this book, so I don't want to go super into it. She ends up being a captive on this pirate ship, and she and this other pirate kind of build a connection, and it's just kind of about their adventure and the twists and turns that happen in their adventure together. And it was sexy, it was fun, it was interesting, and I don't think there's another book like directly related to that book, because the Dark Rulers, if I remember correctly, they're all like standalone books. And I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that it's a standalone. But if it's not, I mean, just like look it up, I guess. Check it out if you want. I got this cup it's made of leather, by the way. Like, and it's just got like wax on the inside, but I got this cup at our local Renaissance festival and I freaking love it. Like, and they have these little things, they're called like corsets, like mug corsets or something. So you can get a plain cup and then you can get a corset that like laces onto it that you can interchange. And I thought I would do that so that I could get more corsets for cheaper and just interchange the corsets. The next book that I have on the list is called The Syren's Mutiny by Jessica S. Taylor. And this is part of a series, or a duology at least, and I don't remember what it is called, but the first book is called The Syren's Mutiny. So this book I was actually a little bit hesitant about. I have yet to read a book where there are mermaids or sirens that don't sound young adult. Like, I don't know what it is about that, but I always think of Little Mermaid the way people describe them. But anyways, it follows a girl who was thrown overboard off of a ship because she was female and she snuck onto the ship in the first place. But if you read pirate type stuff or historical type stuff, there's a lot that will say like women are bad luck on ships, and so like they were thrown overboard or mistreated. She was thrown overboard and she met this like siren queen basically, who gave her a choice to become a siren and get her revenge on men. They give them the option of being like dropped off somewhere on land to just try and like live out their lives. She chose to become a siren and seek revenge on men everywhere. The Siren Queen just kind of says there's a woman in the water, so they rush up to find this woman who's been tossed overboard. They give her the exact same option that our main character had when she was tossed overboard, to either go ashore and try and live out their life and find the lover that she was on her way to see, or become a siren and start, you know, shipwrecking ships that come by. And so she's asking all this stuff like, how do you know, like, why do you shipwreck pirate ships or ships in general. And, you know, all of the Sirens answer because men are horrible. And she's kind of the character that questions that. She's like, well, how do you know if they're all horrible? You don't talk to them. Maybe a lot of them don't deserve it. And so it kind of gets our main character thinking a little bit more like outside the Syren box, I guess. And she kind of starts thinking about when she was a child. When she was tossed overboard, there was only one person to fight for her. Obviously he failed, but there was one person to fight for her, and it was this boy that was on the ship. And he fought to defend her, and she was tossed over anyways. The only man in her life, or boy or whatever, that she remembers being good. And then it kind of jumps forward a little bit after this other girl decides she wants to be a Syren. It jumps forward a little bit where all of these Sirens attack a ship that is going through their area. And they shipwreck it, or they damage it. They drown a lot of the sailors that are on board. But as our main character is trying to drown these men, she sees one of them and she recognizes him and knows kind of instantly that it is the boy that tried to help her when she was a child, when she was tossed overboard. So instead of drowning him, she saves him. And it kind of turns into, like, obviously she betrayed her Sirens, so she kind of gets excommunicated from Sirens. And she's kind of consumed with this guilt of destroying this guy's entire crew. So she decides she's going to help him in whatever mission he was doing in the first place. He has an evil father, and their whole entire, like, the whole reason they were sailing in those waters in the first place is because they were tracking down his father to try and stop him from kidnapping these orphaned boys and, you know, trafficking children. So she decides to help them to redeem herself for drowning half his crew. And it's kind of about their love story and how their relationship evolves and how her eyes are kind of opened to the whole idea that not all men are evil. I haven't read a lot of like Syren type stories. I feel like there's not a lot out there. Maybe I will try and make a list at some point in case there's anybody else out there that wants to read Syren books and just doesn't know where to start. So maybe I'll start like hunting for them and seeing if I can find a good amount of them. But I thought it was interesting seeing how, like, she, you know, her whole perspective on life and what she was taught from the Syren that saved her. It differs from, like, how she interacts with Caleb. I'm gonna call him Caleb, even if that might not be his name. How she interacts with his entire crew and kind of, like, integrates herself in with these men that she has been taught for a very long time to just, like, kill with no question. And there's a lot of twists and turns, like a lot of these books. There's a lot of twists and turns and things I don't want to give away. But yeah, I thought it was really cute. And the spice, like, is very slow burn. It's very like friends to lovers type of situation. It does heat up towards the end, but then it leaves off on a cliffhanger. So be warned that it does leave off on a cliffhanger. There is another book and it is out, and I will be reading it. The next book that I have on my list was actually one that I read as a joke. It's one of those situations where I was losing hope that I was going to find any other really good pirate romance books. And it has a really cheesy title. That is what made me like kind of read it as a joke. It is called Paid to the Pirate by Rohr. And I honestly had no idea what to think. I read the synopsis for it. It sounded interesting. And I don't know, immediately when I started reading it, I was just so invested in the characters. So Paid to the Pirate starts out with this woman who very clearly lost her memory, and I think it's been 2 years since she lost her memory. So she remembers waking up on a beach, and other than that, she's got nothing. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't, like, the only reason she knows her own name is because she has a locket around her neck that has her name like carved on the back of it or something, and she doesn't even know if that's her real name. It's just the only name she has. So she keeps this locket very close. It's like the only possession that she has when she wakes up with no memory. And she kind of, you know, builds a life in this village, this small town. Lady Charlotte, might not be Charlotte. No, I think it is Charlotte, because she has a nickname. Her nickname is Charlie at one point. But anyways, so I think her name is Charlotte. So she's just kind of working in this town. She's kind of been adopted by the people there, and all of a sudden these pirates attack. I don't actually know if this is historically accurate or if it's just something that was in the book. You pay a fee to certain pirates to get them to sort of protect your town, but you have to pay taxes to them to protect your town from other pirates. I don't know if that was ever a thing, but that's kind of how they made it out to be in this book. And so these pirates come into the tavern that she works at, and they start talking, and they're talking about payment, and, you know, the townspeople are talking about whether or not they want to make that payment, whether it's worth it or not. And our Lady Charlotte comes out to serve the men drinks, and the pirate captain gives her a look. A very, very weird look. And she has no idea what it means, but he clearly is like super stunned to see her. He decides that he wants nothing else from the town, all he wants is her. And so she agrees to be his captive, basically. And so that's why it's called Paid to the Pirate, is because this town, I mean, it's not like they didn't just hand her over coldly, like they do care about her, and it was a decision that she made with the people in the town. And so she goes with him, and he changes his tune real fast. It is a dark romance. I guess I should have gotten that out of the way in the first place, but it's a dark romance. So he does not treat her well. There is a past that she does not know about that did not end well. She was also advised by the townspeople, by her like kind of adoptive parents. She was kind of advised by them to not tell him that she lost her memory, because they thought if she did that, then he could just fill her head with whatever nonsense he wanted and make her believe whatever he wanted, knowing that she has no other memories to fall back on. So she tries to keep it a secret as best she can that she has no memory of him. And it becomes this like kind of painful back and forth where he is toying with her and he's very like mean to her in a lot of instances, but it's because there's some sort of a past that we as the readers don't know. And it was clearly very awful. And so it kind of goes through this entire like story of them, like, you know, where she has no memory and he thinks she's pretending to have no memory, and she's pretending to have a memory. And I know that sounds like kind of weird, but the back and forth was very intense. And the sexual chemistry between them that's where the darkness comes in, because this is set in like old times too. So like treating women in a certain way is not, you know, like far-fetched. So he does do a lot of things to her. So like be prepared for some dark themes in this book, especially when it comes to like their sexual interactions. There's never like straight non-con, if anybody's like concerned about that. There's nothing of that, but it does get intense. I guess intense is the only real like accurate word to describe their relationship. The reason I loved this book so much is because when all of the secrets eventually do get revealed, I think I cried a little bit. Like I actually got so attached to these characters, and when everything kind of comes to a head, it was I keep saying intense, but it was intense. This book was intense. There was a lot that happened, and this girl, Charlotte, like she has been through so much, and I think she's one of the strongest characters I've ever read about because of the things that she's gone through. And when she gets her memories back, like those things just become more intense. Like, I don't know. I really recommend it, especially for people that are okay with a lot of darker elements. I recommend it. I loved it. It was very piratey, very action-packed, very everything. Like, I really liked it. The last one that I have on my list is A Sea of Roses by Opal Rayne. This book, it was so good. And she wrote it in such a way where there was not a second of this book. There was not a moment when I wasn't hearing the pirate accents. And like, it was just so high energy. The characters were amazing. Sea of Roses, it is a duology, I believe. I think there's 2 books, and I am going to be reading the second one. 100%. Absolutely going to be reading it. I'm super excited about it. So it starts out with this pirate captain. The reason I know his name is because, I don't know why I know his name. I don't know her name, I know his name. His name is Alistair Payne. And he is a very dreaded pirate. Like, everybody knows who he is. Everybody's like, don't mess with Alistair Payne. Captain Alistair Payne, don't mess with him. But this person messes with him. She is a feisty, feisty woman. So it starts out with Alistair and his crew seeing this ship. They want to board it. They want to raid it. They want to do what pirates do. They want to pillage the ship. They go after it, thinking it's just gonna kind of surrender. It is a smaller ship, and Alistair's ship it's very equipped to be like to go into ship battles on the open seas. He goes to the ship. He wants to board it, and he expects them just to back down, but this ship turns around and it tries to fight him, which is very confusing. And so he goes on this ship. They do all their piratey things, and then one of his crewmates comes up and he's like, there's a woman in the captain's cabin and she's freaking out. She's screaming. She's having a fit. She's probably very mistreated. She's probably a prisoner. And Alistair, being Alistair, is like, well, I can't leave a woman on a sinking ship. I am a gentleman. So he goes down into the captain's cabin and he fishes this woman out, and she's screaming and she's like, no more pirates, let me go. And he brings her onto the ship. And she's clinging to him like closely. She's like, don't leave me, I'm so scared. And so he's kind of rolling his eyes like, oh, I hate women that are clingy like this. And she won't stop screaming. And she's just kind of holding on to the back of his coat while he's walking around his ship. And he's asking this captured crew, like, who their captain is. And none of them will answer. And eventually, like, if you read the synopsis, you already know what's going to happen. But eventually it is revealed when this woman pulls out a gun and points it at his back that she is indeed the captain, which is completely unheard of because women aren't even supposed to be on ships, let alone be a captain of a pirate crew. And she commandeers the ship. And immediately there is sexual tension between them, like fiery, hateful sexual tension. And I just loved it so much. But she basically sends him and the remaining crew that decided not to defect, because I guess that's a thing, is like absorbing other pirate crews into your crew once you take over a ship. I guess that's a thing. But the men that didn't defect are sent off to this coastal town or whatever in a little rowboat. And she takes his ship to do whatever goal, whatever mission she is on, whatever personal goals that she has. She needed a bigger ship. So she takes his ship, thinking she will never see him again. Kind of sad about never seeing him again because he's just so sexy. She really wanted him. She leaves, and then very soon after, Mr. Alistair takes his ship back. He reappears and he takes his ship back, and she becomes a prisoner. And eventually they kind of come to an agreement that they can both kind of fulfill their goals, because he's in search of some sort of treasure. She's in search of something else that she decides she does not want to divulge. She does not want to tell anybody about it unless it's her crew. And they're very loyal for some reason, which I don't want to give that away, that there's backstory there that reveals itself later. But basically it is a story about them being on the same ship and trying to coexist while having this, like, again, hateful sexual energy between them. And it's constantly about them trying to outsmart each other, because they are both very smart. Clearly the woman, being as small as she is, has to use her brains more than her brawn because she is small. And so there's a lot of instances where she outsmarts him, and it just really angers him because he's like, God, this sexy, annoying woman is just like really ticking me off, but also I want to ravage her. But anyways, the banter between them, the interactions between them, the personalities of both characters, I could not get enough. It was such a fun read, and it was really sexy. The characters were, in my opinion, just like so much fun to read about. Everything about it, I just really loved. And I think anybody who's looking for a pirate romance should absolutely pick up this book. It was so much fun. And I'm really excited to read book 2. Anyways, those are the top 5 pirate romance books that I have read so far. I am absolutely going to be looking for more pirate romance books that I will be able to give you guys next year on Talk Like a Pirate Day. Until then, I hope you guys like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Comment below if you have any pirate romance books that you've read that you would love to recommend, because I am absolutely on the lookout. And I hope you guys have an amazing day talking like a pirate. Go out there, be your most piratey self, and I will see you all next time. Bye!